Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, for Mr. Macy here, we know how important the airport is to your area there and its ability to serve a vast area that actually crosses a couple different state lines. Would you just dwell for a moment on the impact on the region's economy? You talked about longtime employees, et cetera. What do you think that is as far as the local economy, especially for non-government entities in the Modoc County area?
Well, I think the thing is that, you know, with my 35 employees, we're kind of in an economic crisis in our area. Farming has been kind of in a downturn, but I think if we start losing more jobs, it affects our schools, affects our tax base, it affects how everything works in our community. And we're very cognizant, the whole area is very cognizant about holding on as many jobs as we possibly can.
Now, the airport has been there for many years and has coexisted with, since the designation as a monument, with, you know, in part of the Pacific Valor, which I think part of the beef with this is that Valor isn't really the appropriate word for an internment camp, and so part of the motivation for the bill is, you know, it's important to have things named properly and termed properly, so Valor would not be really one of them, although it was a convenient tool for Park Service to be able to manage and have that with that. You know, we get that, but proper terminology helps here. So but the airport has been able to coexist pretty well, and even mentioned in your comment there that it's likely this property wouldn't exist with the bare land that is in the park area now, if not for the airport and its operations, preserving that against development that likely could have happened some decades ago. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, that in 1952 when the airport was designated, at the same time they were actually subdividing the whole town site. That's what we call the town site. A Tule was subdivided and was sold off. So everything basically that was sold off in Tule is in private hands. And that's the reason why this area is still intact, is because it was designated as an airport.
Mr. Reynolds, here, you mentioned in your comments there that the service opposes some of the efforts of us in the legislative process here, some of the provisions there. Don't you believe that since almost everything we do has a public process, public comment period, that there should be that local input on how or why would you be against that? That how a national park or local park, any of these things with the impact on the community, why would you oppose that local input and that public comment?
First of all, Congressman, I do agree with you that the collaborative nature in a community, and based on what I know and have seen on the maps where Mr. Macy operates from the airport, it's a very close proximity to the segregation unit site of the park. So I think a public interaction over the future of everyone there is very, very important. And I think the department's objections with some of the provisions could be, we may be able to sit down and work with you through some of those concerns. But we do believe strongly in a collaborative, respectful process of managing the land.
I still don't understand what the objection is, though, since we're trying to collaborate here and we're the ones that legislate, and you're the ones that carry out the wishes of the legislators who are directly accountable to the people.
Yeah. Again, we're not opposed to working closely with the folks in Modoc County and elsewhere around the park, but we have some particular issues with the provisions as written in the bill.
But you haven't told me what those are yet. Why are those an issue for you as you, again, carry out the wishes of the legislature as elected by the people?
Yes. One of the provisions is the restrictions it may put on the Antiquities Act. That was of a concern. The other restriction or the other concern was some language that talked about the general management plan, the GMP, that's underway right now.
Which is just seeking local input.
Correct. It's got its own collaborative process, and I don't think that there's necessarily a disagreement with what the language is trying to do. It just may be the precedent nature of it being in a bill.
Well, there's been a lot of frustration with the way the Antiquities Act has gone without public input from states or local entities for several years, many years. And so this is an opportunity to write that course on something that already has an existing footprint that, and that the community, would you agree, Mr. Macy, embraces, that the opportunity for this to become a growing concern on its current footprint would be a pretty big thing. My time's up. We'll come back to you. Thank you.